Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for August 9th. My name is Cindy. Thank you so very, very much for being here. I so appreciate you being here. And I'm delighted, absolutely delighted, that many of you feel that this channel helps to sort of keep things in perspective, give you some hope, bring some light into what can sometimes be kind of dismal situations. I couldn't be more thrilled. So thank you very, very much for your ongoing support to Soulprint. I really, really do appreciate it. For those of you interested in a private reading, um, in the drop box below, there's just an email. So you can send an email to soulprint888@gmail.com and I will send you the information you need. I am currently booking kind of third week in August, so again, not a very long wait time at this point. So today I thought I would take a look at. I want to do 3 mini reads, and it's sort of diverse. I want to take a look at Brent Kavanaugh. Um, so there's been a lot of sort of brouhaha just lately because Sheldon Whitehouse, who's going after Kavanaugh, which is amazing and great, but apparently Christopher Wray was sort of testifying in front of, one of the hearings. And, he made it very, very clear that um, the tips that came in to the FBI were not investigated, but simply handed over to the White House. Now, apparently, that is not like unusual. That apparently is sort of the policy when there is somebody being confirmed and information comes in, it goes straight to the White House. So that is what happened. You have like 4,800 tips or something that came in, and they were just all accumulated and sent to the White House, which of course they immediately went into a burn pile, I'm guessing, okay, because certainly nobody reacted to them. So people need to sort of take a breath and realize that the FBI didn't do something wrong. They did what they have always done. What happened typically, or usually, all the time with the Trump White House was that they twisted it and pulverized it and turned it into, standard operating procedures became weapons that they were able to use to push against whatever it is they wanted. I want to take a look at him and see kind of what his trajectory is. So he's one. Two, I want to look at Matt Gaetz. So kudos to the girl who he referred to as a thumb. And she raised, I don't even know, but it's now, I think it's 2.1 or 1.2 million. Anyways, it's a whole lot of money for abortion rights because, he was just being an insulting ass, which is apparently what he's really good at. So I want to take a look at him because let's not forget, there are still those sort of charges outstanding, well, not charges, it's investigations outstanding about, human trafficking, underage prostitution, sex with a minor. I don't know what they all are. But I want to take a look at him and see how that's going for him because, he keeps shoving himself out there with those really tough Trump policies, and I don't think it's going to work for him. And third, I thought it was sort of time to take a little bit of a look at Ukraine and see how they're doing. So we'll take a look at Zelensky kind of versus Putin, I guess, and see how that's going. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I'm in this environment, so you are going to hold up the cards. You're not going to see them. I mean, I'm not going to put the camera down. But be that as it may, I have a question. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start with Kavanaugh. I try to be a good soul. And I try to be a good person. And I try really, really hard to be empathetic and understanding and respect the fact that everybody is on their own journey. But sometimes in life, there's just some people that as soon as you look at them, you want to punch them in the face. He falls into that category. And I don't punch anybody, but you know what I'm saying? There's just something so smug and condescending about him that you. I digress. Let's see what the cards have to say, shall we, about Brent Kavanaugh. Here we go. Brent Kavanaugh trajectory, Brent Kavanaugh trajectory, Brent Kavanaugh trajectory. Okay, interesting first four cards, and they say a lot about where he's at right now and where he thinks he's at. Okay, he's starting off with the Ten of Cups. So he believes, and he could be right, but he believes that he's above it all. He's protected. He's on the United States Supreme Court. Nobody's going to make him come off that court. Who do they think they are? He is one of the most powerful justices in the United States. And so he is feeling pretty pleased with himself. He gets to vote on things that the Federalist Society really approves of, and frankly, on a fundamental level, he believes. And he's still very, very occupied or concerned about ensuring that he presents the correct family image. The wife, the children. He's just, a good old dad and a good old husband. He just happens to have this really amazing job. He gets to make decisions that, fundamentally can screw up millions of Americans with a single pen stroke. And he's a happy boy right now. Don't kid yourself. He doesn't feel the slightest bit threatened. He really does see himself as being above reproach. He sees himself as being, and I'm telling you, this Sheldon White House investigation stuff, he doesn't give a flying tinker's damn about it, okay? He really does think that when it comes right down to it, he's invincible and he can't be touched. Money played a really important role in, I kind of want to say how he got to where he got, maybe. White House is not wrong in following the money trail, okay? There's just some hinky stuff going on. It strikes me that this is somebody who does not have good sort of impulse controls, is very quick to anger. And because of that, it feels as if he just sometimes makes sort of almost rash or aggressive decisions when it comes to money. So possibly gambling, possibly like really overextending himself out of a sense of I must prove, okay? I must be better. I must live up to my image. I have standards, whatever nonsense that's about. 4 Wands. So, this is cool. This is the thing, right? This is where he's at right now. He's in a good place. He considers he considers the Supreme Court kind of like a brotherhood. And I mean, that's the word I'm being given, like a brotherhood. I guess he is okay with sort of not acknowledging the female justices, maybe. Not feeling like, they carry as much weight. I'm not sure what this is, but there's sort of like a really misogynistic attitude that sort of circles around him, which of course is not surprising given what we learned about when it comes to his behavior when he was younger. Now, This is the thing. There's going to be, and I don't know when, I'm not getting a good timeline on this, but I want to say possibly 3 to 6 months, maybe the new year. It feels like there's going to be information that starts coming out, stuff that gets really, really piled up. I don't know if there is somebody who is actually now investigating the 4,800 or however many of it tips that the FBI received. If somebody's actually going back and going through them and talking to some of these people, but it feels like there is a lot of documentation or conversations going on about him, about his behavior, about his background, about information that really, really kind of was hidden. He still thinks, he still thinks that he's covered, okay, but he's not. He's going to discover that as this sort of communication stuff increases, as there's more and more talk about it, he's going to have a hard time sort of continually trying to steer himself back into clear waters. Okay, he's going to have a hard time um, keeping things contained. Make no mistake, he's going to work at it really, really hard. Okay, he's going to do everything he can to sort of mitigate or dismiss, mostly push aside, say this is crap. I don't know why people are picking on me. I'm just cute little Brent who's just happened to be, a U.S. Supreme Court justice. Whatever his story is. But this, unfortunately, is the thing. Ultimately, he's going to have some explaining to do because this information is going to start sort of coming at him faster and faster. And that's going to create a little bit of a problem for him because he's not going to have the skill set to be able to push it back. He can try trickery, he can try evasiveness, he can do whatever, but he's not going to be able to push back on it as hard as sort of feels like he's going to need to or should in order to push this away. Ultimately, he's left with some options that he doesn't really like. And ultimately, there is a decision that he's going to have to make. There's going to be some defensiveness on his part. And ultimately, justice is going to get served one way or the other. Okay. So I have to tell you, honestly, at this point in time, he's still, frankly, sitting kind of pretty, and he is still very much somehow protected. Okay. Now, that's where he is right now. As things continue, that's going to shift and change a little bit. So let's continue to encourage energetically that investigation that's going on behind the scenes with regards to Kavanaugh. I'm going to just ask my pendulum really quick if he's actually going to be on the Supreme Court for the foreseeable future. So let's just see what my handy dandy pendulum has to say, shall we? Okay, side to side, so it's ready to talk. Pendulum. Is Brett Kavanaugh still going to be sitting as a United States Supreme Court justice 5 years from now? Is he still going to be on the bench in 5 years? No. Is is he still going to be on the bench um, by the election of 2024? November 2024 election? No. Is he going to be removed from the bench? No. Is he going to retire and take more time to spend with his family? Is he going to leave of his own accord? Yes. Okay. There's Brent. Let's take a look at Matt Gates, shall we? Matt Gates. So I'm trying to think. He's a House representative, so he should be coming up for re-election in November. I haven't heard anything about that. Let's see. He's in Florida. People in Florida, let me know if there's actually an active campaign that he's running to get reelected, or does it look like he's going to be primaried? Or let me know what's sort of going on a local level, if you please. I want to take a look and just see what's going on and what the energy is around Matt Gates. Hold on, I'm throwing stuff all over the place here. All right. Okay, Matt Gates. This is kind of getting funny. And it's really interesting what's falling out. Sorry, this is like totally not how I wanted this to look. He's got like the Three of Pentacles before the Four of Swords popped out. So definitely some energy around him that, you know. Matt Gates trajectory, Matt Gates trajectory, Matt Gates trajectory. Okay, interesting. He also got the Four of Wands showing up. Okay, so again, right now, he sees himself as protected. He sees himself as um, protected by and from his constituents. He sees himself protected by money, his community, his family. He sees himself protected by the mega people. And he's sort of like of the opinion that because it's been really quiet about the investigation into him, that he's sort of safe. I don't actually think he should be quite so convinced of that. He has both the Page of Cups and the Page of Pentacles. So this is not a good thing. There's news coming that I think he's not going to like. And there's documentation or information coming forward that he's also not going to like, because this is what follows that death. So, you know, he's not going to drop dead. But there's definitely a change coming for him. There is an ending of a cycle. And I almost want to say that cycle has to do with him feeling invincible to a place where he really now is going to have to face some realities that are out there about him, some information that's out there about him. We've got the moon here, so there's a lot more to come out. You know, it feels in some ways as if that sort of whole investigation, there was a lot of fuss and bubble about it, and then everything just got really quiet. But, you know, one of the things that the last certainly couple of years has taught us is that when investigations go quiet, that's when a whole lot of stuff is going on behind the scenes. Okay. And so that's what you have here. You have that sort of There's a lot going on that we can't see, we're not privy to, but it's definitely going to contribute to this rather rude awakening that he's got coming. Right now, it feels as if there's a lot of assessing going on. And it feels in some ways like some of the assessing is coming from the investigations, but it also feels as if he himself is sort of trying to figure out what's going to be the most advantageous for him. Okay. And we know that his big thing is he's not into politics. He wants, to be like a talking head on one of the right wing, channels, right? He wants to be a media personality. I guess he sees that personality of his as somehow attractive to people. But for some reason, there seems to be a lot of like calculations going on, a lot of assessing, a lot of thinking about things, etc. Here's another one who, when it comes right down to, he just believes that he can talk himself out of things. This is the problem when you just spout nonsense nonstop. Is pretty soon you become convinced that you can do it everywhere in every place and it's going to be fine. It'll protect you. Now, Alex Jones recently figured out that that's not so. Okay, he recently found out that when you try to bring your persona into the courts tend to get really cranky with you. Interesting. So we started off this thing with the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Cups, and now we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. So the reality in this situation is this thing is moving forward. And there's going to be information coming out, there's going to be documentation coming out, and it's not going to be good news for him. King of Pentacles is here. Okay, so we know that's, the former guy. And so he's going to continue to sort of hitch that star onto that wagon. I don't know that it's going to get him where he wants to go, because ultimately, again, interesting, the cards that he got and Kavanaugh got, and they really, really were well shuffled. So again, trickery, lies, deceit, trying to keep things covered up, etc. But look who's arriving. Here comes Justice. So Justice is not going to be pushed to the side. Justice is very definitely going to call Matt Gaetz to task. So I don't even think that Matt Gaetz is being primaried because it's Florida. But please let me know. Those of you in Florida, let me know. And I'm just going to ask the pendulum just a couple of questions with regards to Matt Gaetz. So is Matt Gaetz going to face indictments regarding some of the underage sexual behaviors, or the whole giving young girls gifts behavior? Are there indictments coming from him from those and from that or those investigations? Yeah, there are. Okay. Let's take a look at Ukraine and Russia, shall we? It's been going on and on and on and on and on. Oh, I meant to look up before I started this, and obviously I forgot. I wanted to find out when sort of in, Kiev, Ukraine, when their first frost shows up. Because even though for most of us, well, certainly in the northern hemisphere, it's summer, right? But one has to wonder how soon The snow is going to start falling in both countries, and the cold weather comes in. Because, of course, Putin's been attacking some of those, like the nuclear plants, anything that's going to provide um, electricity, warmth, energy seems to be one of the more prevalent targets lately. Um, and that, of course, is a concern. I mean, right now, the focus on getting those sort of grain shipments out, and that's important, right? Like, not only does Ukraine need the revenue from that, but you know, you don't want to be dealing with sort of a global food shortage crisis. And um, I mean, that's definitely going to be, a reality when you have one of the sort of bread baskets of the globe not being able to get their crops in the ground, grow their crops, harvest their crops, and or ultimately ship their crops. So there's that. I don't think when this started, it's in February, that anybody expected that as we were into the middle of August almost, that this would still be going on. Certainly, I think that was nobody's hope or expectation. Everybody really wanted it to just wrap up much, much sooner. The Russians have taken a very heavy toll in terms of personnel. Ukraine has also taken a significant hit. And because, Russia's sort of doing this like scorched earth policy, um, it, it's going to ultimately take a really long time to undo the damage and rebuild Ukraine. There we go. Russia invasion Ukraine, Russia invasion Ukraine, Russia invasion Ukraine. Okay. It continues. Okay. Um, Ukraine is working very, very hard at working with its allies, keeping its troops sort of whole, moving ahead, focused. Things They have a great deal of support, and they are incredibly grateful and blessed for that support. Um, Even though there has been bad news, even though things have taken longer than anybody hoped or wanted it to be, it continues to move forward. I mean, energetically, it's just like this overwhelming sense of sadness. But it's not despair. It's not loss of hope, but it is sad. It's going to continue to be, I don't know, one step forward, two steps back, three steps forward, two steps back, whatever it is. It just feels as if um, this is going to continue, and it's going to continue to be particularly turbulent and difficult for the people of Ukraine. However, there is hope, and there is good fortune coming their way and bad fortune on the way to Russia. The partnerships that Ukraine has worked with, has cemented, are going to continue to be there and are going to continue to stay strong. Energetically, I have to tell you, it feels as if there's a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes that we are not aware of. Negotiations that are happening, and it's NATO is getting stronger. Of course, the Finland, Sweden, um, they have been approved to join NATO, as far as I understand it. Um, Russia's losing power, and Putin. Listen, as far as I can tell, he's alive. Okay, he's not dead. But I also energetically, when I step into his energy, more and more, he really is, the emperor with no clothes, right? People are starting to see that he um, doesn't appear to be operating with a full, clear, concise deck. He has become more irrational, more angry, more outraged, and more isolated. And so there's that. The people around him, the forces around him, are not his friends. They pretend, they smile, they laugh and joke. When it comes right down to it, they see him far more clearly than he sees himself. And because of that, those forces around him have moved kind of into what it's sort of a wait and see, but it's more of a self-protective mode. They're far more careful about keeping themselves safe and secure. They're more cautious about making sure that um, they sort of avoid his wrath and frankly stay alive. Unfortunately, things are going to continue to move forward for a bit, but ultimately we come to an ending. And I think that what you have is, I mean, I have always said that Ukraine is going to survive this. Let me just ask my pendulum. And I guess this is, how am I going to say this? Pendulum, is Ukraine ultimately going to be able to fight off and push back against Russia's aggression? Are they ultimately going to be able to keep Ukraine the sovereign nation of Ukraine? Yes. So, and is this going to go on through till the end of winter? So, is this sort of invasion, this fighting, war, genocide, is it going to continue on all the way through all of the winter season into spring? No. Okay, that's not horrible news. Short of 1 year. That's what I'm hearing. Short of 1 year. This thing is going to come to the end. And I'm seeing things, things flying through the sky and landing on Russia soil. I don't know what's flying. I don't know from what direction or country it's coming from, but it definitely feels like as things progress that Russia's going to start taking some hits on Russian soil. I'm sure they have taken some already, but it feels as if there's going to be some successful strategic um, hits. I don't know another word for it. So that's interesting. Okay, so overall, what have we learned from today's sort of mix mosh of people and situations? So we've learned that people who persist in trying to bully their way through. Um, People who have had this sort of, take no prisoners kind of, I can push through, I can do whatever I want, I can get whatever I want, and who's going to stop me? That energy is becoming more and more dissipated because as this energetic shift continues, if those kinds of attitudes and energies are not, they're no longer in sync with the coming higher vibrational energies. And so the people who display them, the people who wish to behave that way, they're going to find that things are no longer going to move slowly, or not slowly, but no longer move forward for them in a sort of an uncomplicated way, because the energies are starting to really, really rise up and push back. So stay in the light. Okay, continue to do your light work, continue to send your good thoughts and your prayers and all of it out for the continued evolution of civilization, those of us here on the planet. Because again, even though some days it really doesn't feel like it, we're winning. Okay. Until next time, take care. Be well. See you really soon. Bye bye.